Hello, boys and girls. Welcome to today's lesson for I Was a Skinny Tomboy Kid by Alma Luz Villanova. And this is going to be a poem that you are reading today. The essential question for Unit 1 that we've been working on is, what are some of the challenges and triumphs of growing up? And when you are reading I Was a Skinny Tomboy Kid, there's a couple questions that you need to keep in mind. One is, in what ways might boys and girls feel different from other boys and girls? And the other is, can feeling different be a good thing? Sometimes young people feel like outsiders. What are some of the things that can make a young person feel like they're different? So let's meet our author. She was born in 1944 and she was raised in the Mission District of San Francisco by her maternal grandmother, a Yaku Indian healer. Although Villanova now writes in English, the inspiration for her works are rooted in the Spanish language, in the Yaku prayers her grandmother used to sing every morning. And this can be found on page 68 in your My Perspectives book. So on page 69 in your My Perspectives book is the background information that goes with our story. And it says, although the word tomboy was originally defined as a rude or noisy boy, it grew to be a label for a girl whose behavior and appearance were not considered to be traditionally feminine. And in this poem, the speaker relates her experiences growing up in San Francisco, California, as a self-described tomboy. Now, let's turn to page 74 in our My Perspectives book, and we're going to look at our analyzing craft and structure for this poem, and we are going to focus on theme. And theme of a literary work is the insight or message about life that it expresses. So theme is that message that the author is trying to get across to us. Now, sometimes the theme in literary work is stated directly, which means it's explicitly stated. But more often, it is implied or hinted at, and implied would be implicit. So a good way to remember this is implied begins with the same letters as implicit. Now, when a theme is not directly stated, or is implied, or is implicit, readers must use details in the text to draw their own conclusions. We talked about this in previous lessons. To determine an implied theme, you need to group together details that seem connected, and then try to figure out what the message is that the writer is expressing with those details. One possible theme for I Was a Skinny Tomboy, because there can be other themes, but one possible theme is that being different can be difficult. The poet does not state this theme directly, so again, it's implied or implicit. Instead, she suggests the theme through thoughts, feelings, and actions of the speaker. She also suggests the theme through the way she organizes the lines of the poem to emphasize certain words or phrases. So you're going to have a worksheet that focuses on theme. And again, at the top of the worksheet, you're going to get a definition of theme. It's also going to explain explicit and implicit themes. So for part A, you're going to read each pair of items And then on the line next to each item, you're going to write an E if the theme is explicitly stated, it's directly stated, or an I if it's implicit or implied. You're going to do the same thing for part 2. In part B, you're going to read the following poem, and then you're going to read and answer the questions below it. Now, when you're reading a poem, they have the lines numbered, whereas when you're reading a narrative or even nonfiction text that's written in paragraphs, they number the paragraphs. So it's important to remember poems number lines. So the first question specifically asks you which line explicitly or directly states that theme of the poem. And then number 2 is which theme is implicitly stated in the poem. It's implied. It's not right there. And then number 3, which idea about dreams is implicitly stated in the poem. Now let's turn to page 68 in your My Perspectives book. This is our concept vocabulary page. And as you're reading I Was a Skinny Tomboy, you're going to encounter 3 specific words they want us to focus on. And the first one is clenched, the second one is stubborn, and the third one is tenseness. Now, maybe you've heard these words before, maybe you know what they mean, and maybe you don't. So again, we're going to focus on context clues. And these are words that are unfamiliar to you. And using context clues helps you by using words and phrases in nearby text to help you determine their meanings. Let's look at the example. Marta deceptively hid the winning card in her hand until the end so that no one would suspect she had it. So deceptively is the word that we might not know. And we can use the underlined clues to help us figure it out. So the conclusion is the word hid and the clause so that no one would suspect she had it tell you that Marta is doing something in a secretive way to prevent others from guessing she had the card. Deceptively means in a way meant to mislead others. So again, every time you're reading, you should be applying the knowledge of using context clues and other vocabulary strategies to determine the meaning of unfamiliar words that you encounter during your readings. So you will have a vocabulary worksheet to complete also with this lesson. And in part A, just like the other vocabulary sheets we have worked with, you're going to read each sentence and you're going to look at that italicized words in the sentence, and then you're going to answer the question. That's what you have for part A for questions 1, 2, and 3. And then in part B, you're going to do your word study, and we're going to be focusing on the suffix ness, N-E-S-S, which means the condition or state of or quality of being, and changes an adjective into a noun. So if you look at the words below, concise, playful, and stylish, right now they are an adjective as they are listed. You are going to change them into a noun by adding the suffix ness to the end, which is where a suffix goes. And then you're going to provide a definition for the word, the new word, and use it in a sentence. So concise would be changed to conciseness. You're going to give a definition and use it in a sentence. And if you don't know the meaning of the word, please use a dictionary, ask an adult, or actually use your computer to search for the definition. Now, you're going to get ready to do your first reading of the poem, and you're going to read the whole poem in your first sitting. And we want you to apply these strategies as you do your first reading, and then you're also going to go into your close reading and you're going to do a few more of the things listed below. So in your first reading, we want you to notice who or what is speaking the poem and whether the poem tells a story or describes one single moment. And particularly, we want you to notice words and phrases that relate to the poem's main characters or key events. Then we want you to connect with ideas. So this is where we want you to go beyond the text to make connection to your own lives, people you know, books you have read, or films that you have seen. Make those connections. Those are the types of things that help us dig deeper into our readings, so that when we go back now to do our second read, we can annotate, and we're going to mark key vocabulary and passages that we want to revisit. This is also where you might want to mark the parts of the poem you feel express an important idea or express something in an interesting way. This is where you're underlining and highlighting, or you're writing in the margin your thoughts and connections back to the author. Then finally, you're going to respond. And this could be where you're writing a brief summary in the side of a paragraph or a stanza. Sorry, it's not a paragraph here. It's a stanza because this is poetry, where you're going to write a brief summary of what just happened. Again, annotating and writing your summaries are ways for you to connect and dig deeper into a poem or a reading. These are put there so that you don't have to reread the whole text again. You can look at these things that you underlined and highlighted or notes you wrote on the side, and it helps you understand the story or poem even more. So you're going to have to do your assignment first in your book, which means you're going to read the poem from pages 69 to 71 in your My Perspectives book. You're going to do your annotating in your book first also. Then you're going to need to complete a document. So you're going to read or listen, because the auto recording of the poem is also attached to your assignment, of this I Was a Skinny Tomboy Kid Once fully through without annotating. Then you're going to read or listen to it again. And this time, now start your annotating. Circle those concept vocabulary words. Circle things that you don't understand. Underline things that stand out to you. Write your connections back to the author, back to the poem, on the side of the poem. Then you're going to go to page 72 in your My Perspectives book first, and you're going to answer all three of those comprehension check questions in your My Perspectives book. And then you're going to put those answers into your document at question number 3. You will also need to take your annotating and put it into 1 and 2 of your Google Doc as well. Now remember, 1 and 2 are of that Google Doc are 2-part questions. You're giving in number 1, you're giving your annotating, the stuff that you're writing on the side of the poem, and your connection to it. How does it help you understand the author or the speaker better? How does it help you see how she felt or what she may have been thinking? How are you feeling compared to how the author felt? Number 2 in your Google Doc asks for things that you underlined or circled. So you're giving direct quotations from the poem. You're copying text. So you need your quotations around those things that you copied. And again, the second part to that is, why is this important to you? Why does it stand out? Why did you underline this? What connection back to the author or the poem do you have? Using terms or beginning statements like this shows me that, or this is important because, it ties it back to the reading. And then again, you want to make sure in number 3, you put all 3 answers to those questions in complete sentences in order to receive full credit. Once you are done, doing the work in your My Perspectives book, and then completing your Google Doc. Submit it